everyone, it's Fee and Zaz. We are back with yet another episode of The Chef and the Nutritionist. How are you today, Zaz? What's going on?
I'm good, Fee. Yep, just having a great morning this morning. Sun
Yeah,
shining here, so I'm keen to get out this afternoon, that sunshine.
yeah, the weather is definitely warming up. I think it's 28 degrees where I live today, and the water
Oh,
temperature was
nice.
about 22 this morning. So, which
Lovely.
actually leads quite well into our topic of the day, because today we are talking about hydration and more specifically around the quality of the water that we are
Mm.
drinking. And I think that it's really important that people understand that can we say not all water is created equal? Can we actually say that? It's still a few parts hydrogen and one part oxygen. However, it's what goes in to the water or leaches into our water that is very important because we are mostly made up of water. It's required for so much of our metabolic systems. And as we know, when we're dehydrated, we just feel like the proverbial. We just can't really do too much. So it's very important that we're consistently getting water into our bodies, especially when we sweat it out. I know you're going to talk about that as well today. But I think the focus really needs to be on where is your water coming from and what do you know about the water that you're putting into your body. And in Australia, we do have regulations around contamination and what can come in, and the fact that we have clean and safe drinking water. But it's also, there to add a few bits and pieces to kill off potential waterborne diseases and harmful contaminants that can get, bacteria and what have you. And I know that we've spoken about bacteria and gut health before, but water quality is really, really important. I don't know about you, Zara, but when I was a kid, I just remember my mum screaming if anyone ever drank out of the hose directly, saying, you don't know what's in that. There could be all sorts of mold and anything in that hose, and then you're putting it into it. It's pretty old school. But she was a nurse, an old school nurse. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's important that we know, particularly around the microbiological quality of the water and those pathogens, the E. coli, the Giardia. And we hear about this happening in a lot of third world countries, but that's why our governments add in extra things to our water to kill off those pathogens. But it's about, making sure that the water quality that we're drinking, I'm not suggesting that the water quality that we're getting in Australia is not safe. I'm just saying you need to be aware of what's going into it to make it drinkable. Would that be a fair point? Try not to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So also things like heavy metals, mercury, arsenic, lead, they can get into our water. Disinfectants. We have to talk a little bit about chlorine, but also fluoride is added in a lot of states in Australia. And this was based on a study that was done, I think it was like in the 1950s, around tooth decay and prevention. And so they put fluoride concentrate into our drinking water. So yes. And also I think, pesticides, herbicides, all those things that wash into our streams and off farms and, all of those things that happen. But let's talk about water in the kitchen. What are your thoughts around cooking and using water?
Water quality in the kitchen is so important. Now, I have a jug filter. My fridge, I don't know if anyone else has a fridge with a tap in the front. That's all filtered as well. And my little birdie gets filtered water as well. She's spoiled. But yeah, filtered water while we're cooking is super important, especially when we're cooking our leafy greens, because they soak in so much of that water. And it can diminish the nutrients in our food because of the chemicals in the water. So using filter water is important, and also for storing as well. So if you're like food prepping once a week for the whole week and you need to store certain things in water so they don't oxidize, um, storing them in filtered water is the better way to go, because if you're soaking them in, tap water, which is got those nasties in them, it's going to soak into your food and turn them brown, which is actually turning your vegetables. It's taking all the goodness out that your body needs. So yeah, filtered water, if you can use it, please. It's so much
What are
better
you
for your
soaking in
body.
your fridge for your food prepping? I talk about like chia seeds and
So if say sweet potato, or white potatoes, if you eat white potatoes, the best way to store them, if you're, say cutting them into little pieces ready to cook, so that they're still raw, you want to store them in water. Otherwise, they're going to oxidize.
I
Yeah,
wonder
with
how
a little
many of
bit
our
of
viewers
lemon,
knew that.
with a little bit of lemon juice as well, and that will keep your veggies for just that little bit longer.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, sure. And
so
for
many
some
different little
for
treats.
sprouting too, hey, because I love sprouting and I
Mm,
loved, activating my nuts and all those kinds of weird things that I do in my
yeah,
kitchen, but always with filtered water,
always with filtered water.
always with clean
Mm,
filtered water.
yeah.
Share a little bit about the little experiment that you were telling me about before around
So
the
it's exactly what I've just explained with storing your veggies. So I was at work, we tested it with another chef, and we were like, okay, why is our sliced up radish going brown? Because we were storing it in water. And I thought, hang on a minute, okay, we'll do a container of tap water and a container of filtered water. Sure enough, a day later, the tap water one was brown and the filtered water was still fresh and beautiful and white.
yeah,
So yeah, the quality of the water is just so important in everything that we do.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I touched on chlorine earlier, but it's
Mm,
really important because it's added to kill off all of those pathogens that I mentioned before. And
yeah.
I'm not suggesting it's added in unsafe levels, but I think it's really important to be aware that it's there. And I think it's
Mm,
really important for most people, but also for our young and for our elderly to know that when we're adding into, and people with gut issues, when you are adding water that has chemicals in it into your system that may already be compromised or weak or being built as a baby, and I know babies, in summer, mums will give, a little bit of water to their babies, but it's so important that we keep it super clean.
that's it.
And
And I remember that when my sisters were babies, mum would be giving them a little bit of water, but it was filtered, it was boiled, it was, it was clean. It wasn't
yeah,
out of the tap.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
So
And I think, particularly in Australia, most people walk around either with a coffee cup or a water bottle. And I think what I love about the coffee people is we've all gone to, good quality keep cups
mm,
that we've had that drilled into us, and we do that. However, I see so many people walking around with their plastic water bottles that are just store-bought.
mm,
And I think probably what worries me the most is A, they're filled, then they're transported in who knows what heat level, particularly in Australia. And often they're delivered and left in the sun. And then I'm just speaking from experience. I see it happen all the time. You walk past the back of a shop where they've had a delivery, and it's just like you've got bottles and bottles of plastic
yeah.
water. And then the plastics in the bottle, unless they are a
Mm,
high quality plastic, they're leaching
mm.
into the water, and then we're drinking it. Not to mention the rubbish that we're creating from plastic water bottles. It's a whole other episode. But I think it's really important to think about buying filtered water is great, but when you add up how much you spend on plastic bottles, there is the whole environmental side as well, whether that matters to you or not. However, by investing in a filter is really, really a good investment for the whole family. And for all, so if it's filtered coming into your taps,
Mm,
then you don't have to
mm.
worry about any of the things that we've just spoken about. You can go with quality as long as you're changing your filters. I love the filters that they put on the outside of the house so that all of the
House.
water
Yep.
coming into your house. So
Even
your
your shower.
shower. Yeah, showering, which, you know, your skin's your biggest organ. We want to
And your
make sure
clothes,
we're
your
hydrating.
washing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so good.
So, yeah, all of those. I think we should maybe go into business inside, maybe Juice Plus Wellness, water filter for your house. Oh, maybe we should suggest that. But yeah, it's definitely something that we need to consider. And when we're making our Juice Plus shakes, when we're taking our Juice Plus capsules in the morning, what's the quality
Yeah,
of the water that's chasing those amazing nutrients
yeah,
into your body? And then what's the quality of water that you're adding to your shakes? And even the ice trays, like you got to think about everything, that even using your filtered water in your ice trays. And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
is there anything
So
left
important.
unsaid about water quality?
Um, Water quality. Well, I just wanted to touch on our sodium levels
Mm-hmm.
thing, because while we're moving around and working out and in our busy day-to-day lives, we sweat. And while we're sweating out all of our salts. You know, all of our sodium levels and our chloride ions go down. So it's crucial to replace them, because salt's important, because it helps our nerve and muscle function. It regulates our fluids in our body. It helps our absorption of nutrients. And it also plays a role in helping our blood pressure and controlling our blood pressure and the volume of blood which flows around our body. So without salt, we're just not going to survive, right? So the ways we can add salt back into our body, because we're, you know, drinking all this water, the salt's leaving our body, we need to add it back in. If you love salt like I do, I've always got a jar of Himalayan salt in my cupboard, which I get from our natural shop in town. I try not to buy it from the supermarket because I just don't trust it. I think it's coloured, which I have heard a little
You got
story
trust
before.
issues with the supermarket? I'm so confused.
Yeah. So always head to our natural store in town. Coconut water unsweetened. You can get your electrolytes from coconut water. Make sure it's 100% and there's no preservatives in it. Bananas is a good way. High quality dairy products. Avocados, watermelon, and clean fruit juice.
Yeah,
Not cold pressed fruit juice, because you want all the other nutrients from everything else.
you need the
Just
fiber, right?
just a
You need the fiber in
nice
there.
clean fruit juice. I buy this brand of fruit juice. It's called plant based. Um, Plant based, I think it's called, just plant based. You can get it at Woolies or Coles, and it's literally the ingredients that are on the front is all that's in it. There's no preservatives or anything added to it, and it's amazing. They've got all these different flavors, and that's my little treat for myself.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
important to make sure that we are staying hydrated, and
Mm,
sodium is such an important.
it's so important.
Even if I'm doing a long training session or what have you, I'll pop a couple of little bits of Himalayan pink salt, or Celtic sea salt is actually my
Yeah.
favorite,
Yeah.
into
Celtic's a
my
good
water
one too.
bottle, just to
Yeah.
give it that, you know, that little bit of an edge. But I know that you and I talk a lot about growing our own. And what we do have in Australia is, and I'm sure they have it in New Zealand as well, is the salt bush. And salt bush is a native plant, and I have 3 of them in my backyard. And I will actually grind it down and use the salt bush salt in a lot of my cooking, because number one, once a plant's going, you just go out and pick it. You can dehydrate it if you want, or just add the leaves in like you would any herb to give the dish a bit of salt. But I'm in there grinding with my mortar and pestle. I do have electricity in my house, just however, there's something very rewarding. I'm even doing it now. Something rewarding about mortar and pestle and grinding down my salt from saltbush. So
Yeah.
saltbush is amazing. They are so inexpensive, and because they're hardy Aussie plants, they grow prolifically, and you can have a great big, nice big salt bush that you can just use for seasoning or throwing in your tea or your water bottle or wherever you want to put it. So
Yeah.
I think I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Yay.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining me. Always
Thank
good to have a
you.
chat, get your perspective on our topics, and until next time.
Right, cool. Can't wait. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.